Welcome back guys to a new Moralis Blueprints video in which I'm gonna show you how to clone the Blur NFT Marketplace. It has been such a request from you guys, and when you request, we build. So make sure you put your requests in the comment section below and we're gonna do our best to make those happen. Now we're gonna use Moralis API to get all the data, and I'm gonna show you how to set that up. I'm gonna show you how to set the front end and the back end up step by step, how to create the smart contract to buy and sell NFTs, how to create the smart contract for creating our own NFT, and then how to set everything up together. You can see on my screen, it looks so damn similar to the Blur website. This is actually our clone, and here is the official website. So it looks very, very similar, and this is such a cool application. I'm gonna show you exactly how to build this, but you can see some data right here. This 1-day volume is from OpenSea itself and not from Blur, so that's why it's showing 0, but otherwise you can see the animation is on top. And if we go to Blur website, you can see it is very, very similar. If we scroll down, we have this trending table right here, and you can see that we have that as well. We have the floor prices, the 1-day, the 7-day changes with beautiful coloring, just as this website. And then when you go and view a collection, you get all this data and you can buy and sell from here. And when you go to, for example, this collection, you can see the same data. We've modified it a little bit. We've scaled down the application because we don't have to build everything. I'm just gonna show you how to build the essentials, and you can see everything is here. Now this data is fetched using Moralis, and it's very simple, very quick. I'm gonna show you how very, very soon. Now we can also see our portfolio right here, and this is on Goerli network, but if we want to sell this NFT, we can actually do it from here. I'm gonna sell this for let's say 250 Wei. The price is in Wei, not ETH. Let's list this for sale. We're popping up MetaMask, we confirm this, and it's gonna take a few seconds. We can actually follow the pending transaction right here. And as soon as this goes to successful, when I refresh this page, I'm not gonna see this NFT anymore inside my portfolio because that's gonna be stored in the smart contract. And then, as you can see right here, this is done. Let's reload, and it's not here anymore. So this NFT is now in the smart contract, and when someone purchases this NFT, it goes from the smart contract to that specific wallet address. So we can actually go back to the homepage right here. We have Moralis mages here as trending. This is awesome. So let's go into that one. We have two NFTs for sale. Now this one is very expensive, but this is the one we just listed, and it shows 0 because I fixed the decimals to not show too many. That's why it shows 0, and it's in ETH. So this should actually be 0.00002, for example. But I want to buy this one, so I click this right here, and we pop up MetaMask. So we can sign and confirm this, and we can see it's pending one more time right here, but this time it's for buying this NFT. So with the same account that we sold it, we're gonna buy it. And when I reload this page, we don't see it anymore here in the collection, but if we go to the portfolio, we can see it one more time and it's back into our wallet. Now, I hope this is interesting enough. I hope you are excited to see how to build your own Blur NFT marketplace. If you are, stay tuned and I will show you how. Hey, I'm Joseph, your Web3 instructor from Sweden. I've been into crypto since 2017 and have been building in the space since 2021. In my free time, I enjoy playing paddle, going to the gym, or hanging out with my dog. I always try to enjoy some good pancakes, but that's for another time. Now let's get back to the video. Alright, so let's go on and create our application. So I'm gonna create a directory called Blur NFT Clone, like so, and CD into that one as well. And from here we can create the backend directory and also the front end, but that's gonna be a NextJS application. So let's do npx create next app latest, like this. And I'm gonna name mine for front end, like so, and just hit no on all the other questions. Once this is done, let's cd into backend and init npm using this command, and we're gonna need to install a few dependencies, right? We're gonna have Express because our server is gonna be an Express server. Let's install .env, course, and also Moralis. Now Moralis because we're gonna use the API to get all the data. But in order for us to use the API, we're gonna need to have our own API key, and we get that by creating an account. So make sure you go to moralis.io, and we have different plans to choose between. We have the starter one, which is free, and it's good for starting out and just testing the waters. But if you're really serious about building within the Web3 space, and if you really want to take your dapps to the next level, I highly recommend you to go with the pro account. It's very well priced. And if you're a business or an enterprise, we have these different plans as well. But for the pro plan, compared to the free one, you get more compute units, you can do more daily requests, and overall you get a faster response rate. So that's really good. And as I said, if you want to take your dapps to the next level, the pro plan is the one to go with. Now, this should be done, but before we jump into Visual Studio Code, I think it's a better idea to start with the smart contracts. We're not gonna cover them too deep, but let's get started to see what's happening in there. And we have two smart contracts. The first one is for the NFT, and the second one is for the NFT Marketplace. Now let's start with the NFT. It's a pretty simple one, and we're using counters here to keep up with incrementing the values for each token. So when minting the first one, it's gonna be 1, and the second one is gonna be 2, and so on and so on. When we call the mint function right here, we take two parameters, the recipient address and the token URI. Now we could easily remove this one and have it down here as message.sender, but we don't necessarily want to have the token minted for the sender address, but having this parameter, we can specify whichever wallet address we want to mint this NFT. And when we mint, we pass along the two parameters right here, as I said. We then set the token URI right here, and finally we return the ID so we can use it in the front-end client if we want so. Now the NFT Marketplace has a bit more code, so in here we're reporting the reentrancy guard, and this will allow us to protect certain transactions. So our smart contract is inheriting from the reentrancy guard. We're going to use counters here as well for the item IDs and for the item solds. And in the constructor, we are setting the owner to the address that deployed this smart contract. Next, we want to define a struct for each and every market item. And this is like an object that holds different values. And right here is where we're creating a mapping for this market item. We're then gonna need to have an event for when the market item is created. And this event is going to match the market item right here. You have the item ID, the NFT contract, the token ID, the seller, the owner, the price, and if it's sold or not. And it is the same values as here. And this is because we want to listen to this event in the front-end client. So now we want to have a function. We're gonna have 3 functions in total in this smart contract. And the first one is for creating a market item. It's gonna take 3 parameters, the NFT contract, the token ID, and the price for which we want to sell this NFT for. And the first thing we want to do is to require that the price is greater than 0. And after we've done that, we will create the mapping for the market item, and we're doing it right here, taking the values that we got from the parameters right here and from above. And here on line 61, we transfer the ownership of the NFT to the smart contract itself. And once the purchase happens, we send or we transfer the ownership to the buyer instead. And finally, the last thing we want to do in this function is to emit the event we created before right here. Now the second function is gonna be for creating a market sale, and we pass the NFT contract and the item ID as parameters. Then we want to require that the price is the same as the asking price, and we also want to check that this NFT item hasn't been sold yet. Next, we transfer the amount to the seller, we transfer the ownership to the buyer, and we set this item to sold. And lastly, we have the last function, which is the fetch market items. And we don't take any parameters right here, but this function only returns the items that are currently on sale. So we can easily call this function and then list all the items inside our collection page. And that's what we essentially are doing. And that's all we need for our smart contract. So let's open terminal, and I'm gonna CD back and open this in Visual Studio Code like this. And let's start with the backend. And in package.json, we're just gonna need one more script. It's gonna be the start script, so we can run this application like this. And then we want to create a .env file in the root of the backend folder. And this is where we're gonna add our API key basically. So let's open Moralis.io and make sure we log into our account that we just created. Go to Web3 APIs, and from here you can get your API key. So I'm gonna copy this and go back to Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna add it in the env file. And we can also save this and close this file right here. So let me zoom in a bit because it's gonna be easier to follow along. And we're gonna create a new file in the backend folder. It's gonna be index.js. And we're gonna start by importing and requiring all the libraries we installed earlier. So Express being the first one. Our server is gonna be on port 5001, so let's specify that. We want to use the API key from our .env file, so we're gonna do it like this. I've named my variable in the env file as Moralis API key, so I can easily extract it like so. And I'm gonna store it in this variable right here. And let's use the Moralis.start function and pass along our API key. And it's gonna be the one we just imported from the .env file. And then we just listen to our server, which is on port 5001, and we're just console logging that we are listening to for API calls. We're going to have 3 endpoints on this server, and all 3 are going to be get endpoints. So the first one is gonna be on /get NFT data, and when we hit this endpoint with our frontend client, we are going to send along some parameters, and this is how we can extract them from the frontend client that we send to the backend server. And we're gonna do some checking right here because the parameters can be different. So either we have one contract address that we're sending along, or we have an array of contract addresses, and you're gonna see this in our frontend client as well. But the first thing we do here is we see if the type of this parameter, the contract address, is a string. It means that we only sent one wallet address or one contract address. So what we then want to do is to use the EVM API.nft.getNFTTrades endpoint that Moralis provides us. We're gonna pass along this contract address, and it's gonna be on the ETH mainnet chain. And we want to get some data back. We want to get the NFT trades for this specific contract address, and that's what we return to the frontend client. But now if this isn't true, then we want to do something else. So we're creating an empty array, and then we're gonna loop through the contract address.length, which is the array we sent back as a parameter to the backend server. And for each and every contract address, we're gonna hit the same API request, the get NFT trades, and we're gonna store that response in the nft.data array, this one right here. And we're gonna do this continuously until we've done all the indexes in this array. And once we've done that, we're gonna extract the data from this array right here to this variable, the response variable, and we're gonna send this one to the frontend client instead. So either we have one contract address and we're doing the request for that one, or we have multiple contract addresses and we're doing that request for each and every one of them, and then we send the data back to the frontend client. And if something goes wrong, we return the status 400 and we console log it on our backend server to see what the error is all about. The second endpoint we're gonna create is the /get contract NFTs, and what this will do is it will give us the NFT collections for this specific contract, and then we can just print them beautifully and display them on our frontend client. So again, we're getting a parameter from the frontend client and we're checking if the chain ID is the same as 0x5, which is for Goerli network, and if it is, then we're gonna use this chain ID, and if it's not, we're gonna use the ETH mainnet. When we hit this endpoint, the get contract NFTs endpoint from Moralis, we pass along the chain as a parameter, format, decimal, and then the address, which is the contract address we sent from the frontend client. Once we get the response back, we send it to the frontend client, and if something goes wrong, once again, we just console log something went wrong with the error message, and we also return status 400. And the last endpoint is on /get NFTs. Once again, we pass along one parameter right here, and this is the address that is connected. So what this get wallet NFTs endpoint returns from Moralis is the NFTs that this wallet currently holds, this specific wallet address. And we do this because we want to display in the portfolio page that we are going to create very soon. We want to display all the NFTs that this wallet currently holds, and from there you can put them on sale if you want to, or just go through them and view them and see what you currently hold. And once again, we send the response back to the frontend client, or we print this error message right here. And that's it about our backend server. We don't need more code than this. We don't need to do more requests to the Moralis API. It's very clean, it's very simple. 3 endpoints that are going to give us the data we really need to build a marketplace that works very similar to the Blur NFT Marketplace. That's it for backend. Now for frontend, let's start by installing a few dependencies. So cd into frontend, and let's install WAGMI. We're gonna have ethers, we're gonna have Axios, and then we're gonna have Web3 UI kit /core, and also Web3 UI kit but /icons, like so. And this is a Moralis repository that we have created with different light components for you to be able to create the front end very quickly and very easily, and focus more on adding the Web3 functionality and all the other stuff. So by using this repo, by using these components, we make it so much easier for you to develop beautiful stuff. Now let's jump into frontend folder, and inside the index.js file, we're gonna replace all this code with this. So before we dive into it, I just want to say that I've added images and fonts in the public folder, and I've also added some styling. So I removed what was inside the home CSS file, and I've added a bunch of styling. I'm not gonna go through all the CSS, we're just gonna use the classes right here inside our code, but I'm gonna post the GitHub repo in the description below, so make sure you check that out, clone the repo and use the code and take inspiration from it, but make sure you understand what's happening in here, because we're not gonna go too deep into it. Now in the index.js file, we import the styling file, and then we import components that we haven't created yet, but we are gonna create those very, very soon. So we have the header section, the airdrop pop-up, and the trading section. And first we set the header title and metadata right here, and then we import the other components. So we have the header, we have the hero section, we have the airdrop pop-up, and then we have the trending section. So let's actually start with creating this header. So what we're gonna do is inside the frontend folder, we're gonna create a new folder called components, and that's basically where we're gonna have all our components. So let's create the header.js, and we can start importing stuff. So we're gonna need use effect and use state, because we're gonna check if we are already connected with our wallet. So if we aren't, we want to show a different view compared to if we are. And to check that, we're gonna use account and use connect from WAGMI. We're also gonna import image and link. We're gonna import the search icon from the Web3 UI kit, the CSS file, and also the logo from our assets. Then we can go on and create the function, export default function. It's gonna be header. like this. And from here we want to do a few stuff. So const, we're gonna have address and is connected, and this is gonna be from use account like this. We're gonna have connect like so. We're gonna have connectors. Actually, we don't need error because we're not gonna use that. I think this is enough. We're gonna use connect like so, and then we're gonna create our state variable. We're gonna have is logged in like so. Create the function to set the value, and then it's gonna be use state. It's gonna be to false inside that parenthesis like so. And then we can use effect like so, and we're gonna check if is connected is false like so. Then what we want to do is to set is logged in to true, else we want to set it to false like this. And then we're gonna return. So I'm just gonna paste that in and go through it line by line. So we have a few sections. We are using the classes right here, so we're not gonna go too deep into that. As we said, we're adding a link which is on the logo, so we're just gonna link to the root page basically, which is the index.js when you hit this image. And then we have the nav bar, the items. So we have collection, we have portfolio, which also is a link to our portfolio. And we haven't created this page yet, but we are gonna do that later. And we have airdrop as well. Then we have a section with the input field and yeah, the search icon basically. So we have the input field, which doesn't have a functionality yet because we don't need that, but it's very easy to add that. We have an empty span. We can remove that element right there. And then after that we have this conditional rendering right here. So we have is logged in. So if this is true, we are going to create a section with a button that says connect wallet, and we can have multiple connectors. In this case we only have one, but if we have multiple, we would be able to map through them like this and display a button for each and every one of them. So let's say we have we can have MetaMask, we can have Trust Wallet, for example, and other wallets you can connect with. In our case, we only have MetaMask, so this shouldn't be necessary, but we keep it so we can easily add more if we want to. But if is logged in is false, then we're gonna render this section instead, because it means we are already logged in, and then we can just display the address and we're gonna slice it beautifully like so. Perfect. We can save this and actually close it. We can close index.js as well. Next, we can create a new component right here. It's gonna be the hero section. So hero section.js like so. And this is this section right here. So if we go to the home page of our application, this is the hero section right here, and that's the one we're gonna create. And then we're gonna add this airdrop pop-up right here. So let's go back into Visual Studio Code, and we're gonna import a few stuff here as well. It's gonna look very similar. So we're gonna have use effect, and we're gonna have use state as well. We're gonna import Axios, which we didn't do in the previous component. We're gonna have both image and link like so. Then we're gonna import arrow, which is another icon from the Web3 UI kit /icons. We're also gonna have ETH from here, and then we're gonna import styles as well. And then we're gonna have a bunch of images, so I'm just gonna paste those in. So we have one for every right here, and then we have the profiles. So that's what we're gonna need. And then we can go on and create our export default function, which is hero section. And we're going to have a state variable right here. It's gonna be called 1 day trading volume. And it's gonna be an empty string to begin with. Next, we're gonna have a use effect right here, and we're gonna add this variable right here because we want to get the date from yesterday in the correct format, and we're gonna use this to check the 1-day trading volume later on. So let's create, we're gonna do a request here as well. So let's create this variable. And we're gonna use Axios to make this request, and it's gonna be to our backend server on http://localhost:5001, and it's gonna be on /get NFT data, like so. Next, we're gonna create a variable called trading volume, set it to 0. So this is gonna be a let variable because we're gonna change it, and we're gonna map through the response we're getting back from this Axios request, and we're gonna map through it. And for each and every sale, we're gonna take the block timestamp and check if it's bigger than yesterday, and if it is, we're gonna add it to this variable right here in the correct decimals for ETH. And once we've mapped through this whole array, we're gonna set this 1-day trading volume to trading volume like this, and then we can actually call this NFT data function, which is this one right here, and we're gonna call it when we render, basically, because it is within use effect without any dependencies. So we're gonna run this function when we render this page, and immediately we're gonna do this request to our backend server. And lastly, we want to have our return, so I'm gonna paste this in. It's very repetitive, but I'm gonna go through it quickly so you can see what we're doing. So we have the main section right here, and this is for having the title Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then we have the floor price, for example. It's hard-coded in this specific case, but then we have this one trading volume right here. There we have it displaying. We have 2 decimals, and after that is where we want to show all these images right here with the NFT name right there. We have this profile image right there, and then we have this beautiful animation from the CSS. So that's what we're doing down here in this carousel. So we have this carousel section. This is for Bored Ape Yacht Club. We have the image, we have the profile image. We're adding the classes that can decide and tell these elements where it should be placed, and then we have the name of the NFT as well. And we're doing the same for the next NFT. We have the image, we have the profile image, and then we have the title or the NFT name, and the same for Azuki, and so on and so on. So this is kind of repetitive, but you can see how quickly it is to make this happen using the same classes and just changing the images and the NFT names right here. So hit save, and we can actually close this one down. And if we go to the index.js page, we can see the next component should be the airdrop pop-up. So let's go on and create that one. And I'm gonna paste this in because this is a small component. So we're adding the styling, and then we'll just have a section with a paragraph and this text right here. And then we have the button to claim the Blur token, basically. And hit save. And actually this is airdrop pop up with a capital U. So let's do it here as well, just to make sure it's correct, like so. And if we check in here, that's perfect. And it's already imported, perfect. So the last component for the index.js page is the trending section. So let's go on and create this like this. And if I can spell it correctly, it should be trending section. And we can import link and also the ETH icon from the Web3 UI kit library and the CSS file. Let's create the export default function. Like so. And for this section, we're gonna keep it a little bit easy, but as a challenge, what I would want you to do is to use the Moralis API to get all this data and display it. I have hard-coded most of it, as you can see right here. I pasted in the return statement, and we have the trending, we have top titles, and then these table headers as well. But then down here we have the table data, we have the price. So this is the floor price, then we have 1 day change, 7 day change. So this should be floor price, then we have 1 day change, for example, or right here, 1 day and 7 days changes. And then we have the volume for 1 day and 7 days. So right here and right here. And my challenge to you is actually to get all this data from the Moralis API. And it isn't as hard as you would think. It's actually very, very easy. So go on and do that. That will be a good learning curve for you all. So hit save once you've done that, and close both of these files, because that was it for index.js. Now next, we're gonna create more pages right here, and we're gonna have even more components in this folder right here. And so we can close this index.js right here, create a new component. It's gonna be called collection header.js, and we can import, as before, use effect and use state. Like so, we can import both image and link. We can import use account and use connect from WAGMI, and we can import search from the Web3 UI kit icons. And lastly, the styling and the logo. So this looks very similar to the header, if you remember, right here. So we have basically the same imports, and that's because the header is gonna be similar, but we're gonna have a few tweaks. Let's create the export default function, collection header, and create this is connected once again. So you can see this looks very, very similar. We're gonna have the same use effect here as well. And we're gonna have this dependency right here, so it doesn't just run on every render. And this also reminded me that I think we missed it on this right here exactly. So we can just add it right there as well and close this header down. And then we can add the return statement, which here again we show the address right here, and so with the connect button, and we also have the logo and the navigation bar here as well. So let's close this one down. We can close this component and create a new one, which we will call collection hero section, like so. And in here we can import 4 things. So the image, the ETH icon, a CSS file, and then Azuki profile, just to show you an example of how this can look like. So let's go on and create the export default function, collection hero section, like so. And we're gonna return all of this. So let's go through it step by step. Let me go to the top. So we have the profile of Azuki along with its title. We have the SVGs for the different marketplaces and links that we have. So if I go back to the application, we can see right here, these are the SVGs that I'm talking about. And you can easily add links to OpenSea, for example, to Etherscan for each and every one of them. So after that, we have this table, which is the one right here, or actually right here on top. And we have the collection, we have the table header here basically, and then we have all the data right here. So you can see it's Azuki, you can see the floor price, the 1 day change, the 7 day change, the volume for 1 and 7 days, and then you have the amount of holders and the amount of tokens basically. which are the supply. Yeah, so everything right here, and then we're gonna add and create this table here as well. So that's what we're doing inside the next component. So we can hit save on this one and actually close this one down, and then go on and create another component, which is gonna be called collection purchase section, like this. And as before, import use effect and use state. We're gonna import Axios like so. We're gonna import image as well, and then we're gonna have the icon and the CSS file as well. So export default function collection purchase section. So this looks a little bit different from what we have done before. We have different state variables. So we have result, and we're gonna have 2 more variables. And this is because we want to show different things. So in this case, we're gonna get the NFTs for a specific contract address using the Moralis API. And those will come in an array with all the different NFTs. So there's a bunch of them. And we want to be able to map through those. And that's why we have this array right here. And let's create this metadata as well, like so. This is also gonna be an empty array to begin with, and then we're gonna have show result, and this is going to be set to false. Add space right here, like so, and then we're gonna have const response, gonna do a request to localhost :5001 and to our /get contract NFT endpoint, like so. Gonna add some parameters. It's gonna be the contract address. We can save this, and then we can create a new empty array. Gonna call it first 20, just for the sake of it, so you can understand what we're gonna do right here. So we're gonna map through the response.data.result array that we're getting back, and we just want to take the first 20 because we don't want to show everything. Okay, so we can check if I is less than 20, like so. Then we're gonna push it into this array, just the metadata, and then we're gonna set metadata to first. So perfect, this looks good. And then we can set result to response.data.result, and we can set show result to true. And lastly, inside this use effect, actually I think I'm gonna move this one step up, like so. Right here is where we want to run this, call this function, which is the get NFT data, this one right here, that will do the request basically. And what we want to return, what we want to display is all of this data. So we want to have the checkboxes, the image, the name, and the item number, and then we want to have all this data right here along with item bids. We want to have this section right here as well. So let's go on and do that. I'm gonna paste that in, and you can see that we have the items and bids, these two right here, and then we have the table header. And then for each and every item in this array, we're gonna map through it once show result is true. And we're gonna take out the metadata, for example, to format it the way we want to. We're gonna give a unique key to every table row, and then we're gonna add the table data, which is the checkbox. We have the image, and we want to check to set the correct source for the image. We're gonna have the name, and then we're gonna have the rarity and all the other data here as well. So it's set like this, and this is the data we're getting back. So hit save, and we can actually close this one and go on and create a new page right here. It's gonna be called view collection.js, and we can paste this in right here and hit save. So we import styling, we import the 3 components we just created, and we display those components as well. The next thing we want to do is to create this portfolio site right here, which can display our NFTs beautifully. So this is one NFT right here that this wallet address holds. This is the wallet address that we initially sold this NFT with, and then we bought it back. But if I go to another wallet address that I have right here, this one right here, and reload this page, we can see that I've played around a little bit with this application. So this wallet address holds 3 different NFTs, and look how beautiful we can display them. This is me using the Web3 UI kit to get this card component, to add the image beautifully, to add this right there, and then we can add this input field and the button right here. And you can see how quickly, how easy, and how beautiful it actually is. So let's go back to check our other wallet address right here, hit reload, and this is the page we're about to create right now. So let's start by creating a new component and call it portfolio title.js, add styling, and this is gonna be a pretty simple one. So let's add export default function portfolio title like so, and we can return a section with the class name of styles dot like this, and in here we just want another section with the text all collections like so. Hit save, and we can actually close this one. So this is gonna be this section right here. So very easy, just all collection title right there. And then we're gonna have another component. This one will be called portfolio data.js, and we're gonna add styling here as well. And this is also gonna be a very small component. So we can actually add export default function portfolio data like so, add return statement, data underscore section like so. So in this component we're gonna have another section here as well, but we don't want to have a text. We want to render a component which we are gonna create next. So let's import it first, and we're gonna have it in the same folder. It's gonna be called get NFTs like so, and this is the one we want to display. So let's do it like this. And you will probably get errors when you save because we haven't created this yet. So let's go on and do that. Create the get nfts.js, and we can start by importing use effect and use state like so. We can import Axios like so. We can import use account from WAGMI. We can add the styling, and we're gonna import another component that we haven't created either yet. It's gonna be /card.js, and go on and create our export default function, get NFTs like so. Gonna have const NFTs. It's gonna be an empty array. We're gonna have address from user account, and then we're gonna have const chain, and we're gonna set it to 0x5. If you remember, we had an if statement in the backend server for this, so this is where we get it from. Then we can add the use effect right here. and this is gonna be on /get NFTs like this. And we're gonna send both the address that we get from here, from user account, which is the address that's connected for the moment, and then the chain which we get from here. And we can actually add a .then right here. Like so. So when we get the response back, we're just setting the NFT state variable with the data we're getting back. And next up, we can add the return statement. So we're gonna render this component right here, which we're gonna create next up. So let's add the section and give it a class name of styles.data container, like so. We're gonna add a card component for each and every item in this response array, or in this NFT now, which we populated with the data right here. So what we can do right here is add nfts.map, and for each NFT we want to return nft.metadata, and if this is true, that's when we want to render this card component. And we're gonna pass along some props to it. So we're gonna pass along this specific NFT right here, and we're also gonna give it a unique key, which is nft.token_URI, like so. Make it a self-closing component, hit save, and that's it. So let's actually move on and create the last component for this portfolio page, which is this card right here. And as you saw in the other wallet, we had multiple card components, so that's what this component is doing. So let's create this one right here. So card.js, because even if we're calling it card component or comp, it's the file is called card, so we're gonna create that card file right here. And we're gonna have to import use state right here. We're gonna import use contract, use provider, and use signer. This is gonna be all from WAGMI, and I'm gonna show you what this will do very soon. But let's continue on with importing the things we need. So card and illustration, like so. This is gonna be from the Web3 UI kit, but it's gonna be from core, not from icons this time. We're gonna add the styling, and lastly we're gonna add the API and the contract address of our NFT marketplace. And we haven't done this yet, so let's create a new folder inside the frontend called contracts, like so. And within this one we can create a file called index.js. So what we want to add here is the API, like so, and this is gonna be an array. And then we also want to add the contract address. So we're gonna have NFT marketplace underscore, like so, and this is gonna be a string. Okay, you can get this from, let's say if you created the smart contract on Remix IDE, as I did, as I showed you earlier, you can get both the smart contract address and the API from there. So I'm gonna remove this and just paste this in, hit save and close this, and then we can continue inside this file as we did before. And add this card component, but this takes a props, so we need to add it right here. And then we can add some more stuff we need. So we need a provider. We're gonna use provider, like so. We're gonna use data signer. We're gonna have some state variables as well. And I can see that this gives us an error, so I can see that we misspelled it right here. It should be like so. And continue on with creating another state variable called NFT. So we're gonna do it a little bit different from here. We're gonna use the props URI underscore or dot metadata, and then we're gonna have another one called NFT image, and and set NFT image like so. This is gonna take a callback function like so, and here we want to have an if statement, and if this NFT has an image, then we want to return nft.image.include, because we want to check, depending on how the metadata or the image URI looks like, we want to return different things. So we're gonna have include IPFS. If this is true, let's do it like this so it's easier to tag along. We're gonna do https://ipfs.io/ipfs/ and then we're gonna use this link that we get from within this image object, or from this image key inside the NFT object. So we're gonna do nft.image, and we're gonna split this on IPFS:// and we're gonna take the first index of it. Or else we want to take this nft.image and split it on the 2 backslashes and take the first index like so. Then we're gonna do const NFT Marketplace. We're gonna have a handle change function. We're also gonna have a handle submit function. Where we're gonna interact with our smart contract. So we're gonna use this NFT marketplace we created right here using use contract, and then we're gonna call the create market item function. And this function takes 3 parameters. It takes the address, it takes the URI, and then it takes the NFT price in which we want to sell our NFT for. And then we're gonna wait for this transaction, and in this case we're just gonna console log the request completed if this is done successfully. A more beautiful way is to create a pop-up of some sort. An alert is very easy to do, but something else that shows the user in the UI that this listing got through successfully. And lastly, we have the return statement right here. From here, we're rendering this card component that we got from the Web3 UI kit from here, and we're adding some title to it. We're adding a section with the image, and then we also have the illustration right here in case we don't have an image. But then we also have the input field and the button for setting it for sale. We can hit save, close this, and also this, and go back to our pages right here and create a new page. It's gonna be portfolio.js, and we're gonna paste this code in right here. We're importing the styling. We are importing the two of the components we just created, and one from before, the collection header, and then we're just rendering all 3 right here. So that's it for that one. We have the last part left, which is which is listing all the collections for sale. So if we go to this collection, we want to list all the items in this specific collection that are up for sale, and we also want to add the functionality to interact with our smart contract and to purchase one of these NFTs and to transfer it to our wallet and to transfer the funds to the seller wallet. So let's go on and do that, and we're almost done with this Blur NFT Marketplace, so stay tuned and let's continue. Now let's create a new component called collection hero section.js, and we're gonna import illustration from the Web3 UI kit core, and we're gonna have ETH from the Web3 UI kit, but icons, and then we're gonna have the styling as well. Then we can create the export default function. And return all of this, which is the data we want to display for the Moralis Mage collection. So let me just minimize these SVGs right here, which are the same as before for the different pages, and like so. And then we have the table header right here, and we have the data right here, the same way as before. So hit save and close this one, and we're gonna create the last component, which is also called and then it's gonna be collection purchase section.js. This component is gonna be a bit longer, so I'm gonna paste this in. We're gonna import use effect, use state. We're gonna have Axios and image. We're gonna have utils from ethers, and then we're gonna have all this from WAGMI. So use account, use contract write, use prepare contract write, use provider, and use signer. And then we're gonna have ETH from the icons, the styling, and once again the ABI and the contract address. Then we can create our export default function. Like so. We're gonna need a few variables. So we're gonna need address from use account. We're gonna need provider and signer right here because we want to interact with our smart contract. We're gonna set the metadata, the result to true, it's false to begin with. We're gonna set the ID, the price, and the market as well. So we're gonna do the same way as before using the use contract from WAGMI. We're gonna add the contract address, the ABI, and signer or provider to create this NFT marketplace that we can use down here inside the use prepare contract write to communicate with our smart contract. And in this case, we want to call the function name, the create market sale, and pass along two arguments, the address right here and the ID in which we get from depending on which item we click on. So if I go back here, if I click on this right here, we're gonna get the item for this specific NFT token. And if there are multiple listed down here, the one we click on, that's the ID we're gonna get for. And then we need to send this value here as well for the price, and this has to match the sales price of the specific token ID we click on, and it's gonna be this column right here. So the one we click on, we're gonna take this value from here and send it along as a value when we interact with the smart contract. So we're gonna need to create a use effect right here, like so, and then we're gonna have const get NFT data, and const response. We're gonna wait and use axios.get to do a request to our backend. Get contract NFT and send along some parameters. So we're gonna have contract address, and we're also gonna have chain, which is gonna be on 0x5. Add it right there, and then the same way as we did before, let's do it like this. Let's hit save and scroll down a bit. So we're gonna have an empty array. We can call it first 20, like so. And then we're gonna do response.data.result.map. And we're gonna have the if statement if I is less than response.data.result.length, like this. Then what we want to do is to push this metadata in there for this specific item in that array, like so. And then we set metadata to first 20, like this. And we can also set show result to true, so we can display the results after we've rendered this use effect. We also have another function that we're gonna call, which is called get sell. which is gonna be the transaction we want to make when we call this market items function that we created earlier. And this is for getting all the items that are for sale right now. And we're gonna just console log request completed. But we're also gonna notice this because we're displaying all the items that are for sale. But if something goes wrong, we can just console log the error message as it is. And we can call these two functions right here and add an empty dependency in the use effect. We can add this return right here, and this is where we render the same titles right here. We have this table header, which is similar as before, and when show result is true, we're gonna map through the market array and we're gonna display all the items that are for sale. So the table row is gonna get its own key, its own unique key, and then we're gonna have the checkbox. We're gonna have this table data, which is the name of the specific listed NFT item, and it's gonna have an on-click function where we set the ID to format it to a number, and this is the way we can get it when we call the function to purchase this NFT. And this set price is a way of getting the price that is listed right here. So we can get this, we can format it correctly, remove the decimals, and then we call this write function. At the same time, we display the image, we display the name and all the other data that is needed for us to display it beautifully like so. So hit save, close this one, and we have the last page to create right here. So let's do a new file, and we're gonna call it mmcollection.js, and we will paste this in. We have the styling, we have this collection header. Once again, we have the two components we just created, and we are rendering everything. So we can hit save and try this out. Let's try this out. So fire up the backend and the front end server, and we can see how beautiful this all looks. We can go into Azuki and we can see this collection right here. And if we go back, oh no, actually if we go to portfolio, we can see that we have this one right here for now. And let's go back and go into this. Yes, we can see the one that's for sale. So let's go back to the portfolio and let's list this one for sale. Let's put it on 300 way, list for sale. Let's confirm this. And once this is not pending anymore, we shouldn't be able to see this when we reload this page, because this NFT should be in the smart contract address. So once this goes from pending to green, let's try this out. And there we can't see it anymore. So if we go back, we should be able to see it right here. That's perfect. So what I'm gonna do in this case, I'm gonna go to the other wallet address to show you that you can purchase it from another wallet address. So we can still see it there. If I go to portfolio, I can see that this wallet holds 3 NFTs. So 2 of the number 2 and 1 of the number 1. So let's go back, go to Moralis Mage. Let's try and purchase it. And we can confirm. And let's see how long time this gets before it goes from pending to green, because after that we won't see it anymore here, but we will see it inside our portfolio. We're gonna have 2 Moralis Mage number 1, hopefully, if this is successful. So let's reload this page, and we shouldn't be able to see that there anymore. Go to our portfolio, and there we have it, guys. We have one more of this specific NFT, and that's a wrap, guys. This is how you can clone the Blur NFT Marketplace. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot on this video. Make sure you hit the like button and also post in the comment section below if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope I will see you in the next one.